All right, so in the previous episodes, the first two episodes, we talked about the general problem and what other people have done about it. So now we're gonna talk about what we can do about it. You guys have any ideas on what to do?
I think just spreading awareness is just like the best thing we can do, like videos, posters, just getting the word out there, honestly.
I'd have to agree, like getting the word out there, like these podcasts, although I don't know if they'll hopefully one of our videos will be I don't know, maybe not blow up, but get a little bit of success and being seen. But I think the fact that we're being so we're advocating so much on Twitter and we're advocating so much on our social medias and on our YouTube channels, and I think that can help create awareness about our global goal, because I was looking on Twitter today and I saw that some of our tweets that we had tweeted actually got retweeted by the goal, the hashtag global goal thing. It was actually retweeted by the what is the word, the actual what's the word, not company, organization, thank you. Sorry, I can't speak today.
Yeah, I think that also we should try to explain it as if we were going to explain it to little kids, because not only would we be doing two things, which is explain it simple for a kid to understand, adults or teenagers who really have a hard time understanding, since it's so simple, they would also understand.
I feel like we should also do some sorry. I just feel like we should do some... Oh, okay, it's fine. Just edit this out, please. Okay, so I feel like we could also do some interactive projects, so besides the beach cleanups I mentioned 2 episodes ago. I think we can also do some kind of interactive, because maybe some people kind of learn better with hands-on activities. So you can actually see the direct effects visually.
Back on what Priscilla said for I think it was Priscilla. For teaching kids and spreading awareness to them as well. I feel like those animated videos could help with them too, to gain their interest in watching it. Also for little kids to understand, to prevent this happening in the future, so we could teach the younger ones, is make books that are interesting, like Sharon said about animated movies, and you can make interesting books with drawing to teach little kids, so it would be easier for them to learn about.
I agree with the three of you completely, especially because when you're the time you're learning the most, and the time you're kind of processing stuff the most, is when you're younger. So I think if we teach children that they need to help get rid of plastic waste and the oil spills and stuff when they're younger, that'll translate to them when they're older. So hopefully by the time that they're older, that everyone else's children and stuff won't have to deal with the stuff that we have to deal with, because the people who are older than us didn't understand the problem.
I also think that we should be very careful as the way we're showing them, because this happened to me where they were telling me what we had to do in order to fix it, and then this panic of it's your fault, or you're doing it wrong, or you have to fix it, it's on you, you have to do it. I think that's really not the right way to show them.
For question number 2, how do you guys think this global goal is different around the world?
I think it really depends on the geographical area, but I think some people are just more direct about it, especially when you live in near the oceans, Pacific oceans. If you live near the beach, I think there's a lot more hands-on activities that I've seen.
I've seen I forget where it is exactly, but the world's most like polluted river was recently like being cleaned up after like a few people were talking about it, which got the government involved, and they're working towards to cleaning it currently. Like the president noticed and sent like the military out to clean the river. So that's one way I've seen people like in other countries deal with like pollution.
I think how our goal is different around the world is like you usually don't see this stuff as much when you're in like America, because it's not like, I'm not saying that we're like the best country, but we're not. Like, I think these types of issues usually affect people in third world countries more. And I think the kids in America don't really like, they have the privilege to not have to experience that like full on. But people in other countries, like, they have to deal with like the pollution underwater, and they can't really even go out into the water because it's so polluted. So I think that the children in America here, well, obviously, but the children in America should want to help out other children in third world countries, because it's something that we don't necessarily have to deal with, because it's not actually completely affecting us as like a country.
I like how you mentioned that, because people, like, when I think of like the ocean, I don't think it's like a big problem to me, which is probably bad. But like you said, we're
Can you repeat the last bit? I didn't really hear anything.
Wait, I couldn't hear you.
I said, can you repeat that last little bit, like the a couple seconds that you were talking, because I think your mic cut out. Maybe it was just my camera, but like your mic cut out a little bit.
Okay.
Oh, it happened to me too.
Okay, I'll just repeat it. So I liked how you mentioned that, because in America, I feel like the ocean isn't like a number one problem. Like, people don't really think of it as a big deal, rather than in the third world countries, like they bathe in it, they drink water, they use it to cook their food. So it's like a number one problem for them. And then rather than us, we don't see it as a big problem because we have like clean water here, and like people really don't care about how they treat this earth, because they think, oh, someone else is going to pick up after them and leaving trash and just making the ocean dirty.
And even that, it may not apply to all the US, because like I mentioned earlier, in Alaska, they have like the Inuit people, right? They may not have the privilege, not just, oh, it's not that much of a big problem to me. They have to depend on like hunting and the ocean for their livelihoods. Maybe even Hawaii, because Hawaii's a little island, and since they're only like a small piece of land, they can literally get affected by ocean disasters a lot more than like, let's say, New York or like the Midwest or something. So there's a lot to think about even in America, though I'm not going to discount the fact that third world countries have it even worse.
Yeah, mentioning all of that, I do have noticed that if you're not close to the sea, you don't really get to see or touch these topics. So I guess that I would like to get these topics out there, not only where there is an ocean or whoever is suffering all of this, like everyone, not just them, because there's going to be a point where we're all going to be affected by it.
You know, I'm so glad that that you brought up the fact that there are people in this country who, like, they don't have to worry about them getting clean water, when there's people in other countries having to actually like not complain, but like fight with their government over them getting fresh water, which they should be getting anyway. Like, I was watching a video one time, and like, I don't know if they had to filter their own water, but they weren't getting fresh water out of a faucet like we do. So I'm hoping that one day that they won't have to deal with that problem, just like we don't necessarily have to deal with that problem because we don't live in a third world country.
I honestly do not know if Mexico is a third world country, but when I used to live there, it wasn't really clear to me if they were trying to do something to help or if it was just so bad that they decided to take that measure. But we would have water only once or twice a week, and we would have to take advantage of that to get gallons and fill them up because we wouldn't have water for the rest of the week. And I honestly never got explained, no one explained to me why that was happening.
Did we already discuss about the third question?
Yeah, we did it in the first part, I think.
I think we could just do like a little quick thing, like what type of solution can we develop? Like I think like we said last podcast, like because we're children, I don't know if any of you have jobs, but I know I don't. So as a kid who doesn't have a job, who doesn't make any steady income, I think what I can do and what all of us can do is we can start, like, it sounds so minuscule, like if you overview it, like, but people were right when they were saying like start using reusable straws, reusable cups, because all that plastic, it piles up and then it just makes a humongous mess. So I think us as kids, we could just start using stuff that we don't necessarily have to throw away immediately. Like it's still plastic, but it's a plastic you can reuse and reuse and reuse for a really long time. So your portion of plastic waste that goes into the water is cut down by a lot.
I agree with you on that. And I feel like there's not really much we can do, but things we can do is like spreading awareness through our social media platforms, like reposting stuff, retweeting stuff, and just spreading the word through social media, because it could go a long way. Like a lot of people could see it and then they could repost it, and then yeah.
I also noticed, like, you know how Izzy said like that whole thing when like plastic straws, like don't use that, and it was like metal straws. I noticed that like a lot of people would make it a joke and like I guess like shame people for doing it, so people wouldn't like feel right, like they didn't want to do it because of all the memes and like jokes and things going on. But
oh yeah, I've seen that on TikTok where like the Visco girls, when it was like popular, they would make fun of them for using metal straws. And I don't think we should like make fun of people just because they want to make this planet a better place. Like that's not right.
Yeah, I think we should like focus on things that, since it's kind of hard to get to people when it's not really affecting them, especially people who don't live near the coast or the beach or whatever. So I think there's definitely a bit more like emphasis on what would happen in the future, because like you said, a lot of people kind of treat it as a joke, and considering the state of our world right now, it's not going to be good if you let that keep happening.
Does anyone have anything else to say before we like end this call? We've been talking for quite a while, and I don't want to keep you guys for too long.
No, that was it.
I think we're good.
I'm good.
Okay, so then I'm going to stop filming.